The mission statement of the Idaho Department of Fish and Game is pulled from a law passed in 1938 that created the Fish and Game Commission. It states that all wildlife in the state of Idaho shall be preserved, protected, perpetuated, and managed for the citizens of Idaho. These are the words that inspire Idaho's Fish and Game staff.
What really struck me is just the dedication that the staff exhibit to supporting the mission. And I've just never been part of a group before where I think everybody is working in such succinct unity to approach the same common mission and goals. And, to me, that's really neat.
I work for wildlife, first of all, because I love it. I really enjoy coming in and doing my job. Probably what makes it so enjoyable is the fact that hunting, fishing, trapping is important to me. And it's cool to work towards having abundant populations of fish and wildlife to enjoy, not only for me, but for everybody in the state of Idaho.
Jim Unsworth has worked for Fish and Game for 32 years. He came on as a research biologist, earning his Ph.D. along the way, before being tapped as Deputy Director of Fish and Game.
We attract people that are very passionate about their job, and they live their life for wildlife or for fisheries. A lot of our people got into Fish and Game because they like to hunt and fish. And so what could you do, better than to make a living out of something you love doing?
For Jim Unsworth, like most Fish and Game employees, working for wildlife is personal.
I grew up hunting and fishing and loved it, and it's part of Idaho. I'm very proud to be an Idahoan. And so I just like doing something for our resources that provide for my family and into the future for my kids and their kids.
The same is true for Dave Parrish, who also grew up in Idaho as the son of a fish and game biologist and began his own career with the department 33 years ago.
It's just part of the fabric of Idaho and the people that grow up here, hunting and fish and wildlife. It's really the essence of Idaho. And I do it because I just feel an obligation and a passion for it.
You draw the distinction between a job and a career, and I really think here at Fish and Game it goes one step further to almost like the difference between a calling and a passion. People are so passionate about what they're doing, and everybody's supporting the same thing.
I do this because I've always been a public servant. I think it's in my blood, protect and serve. That's probably why I'm in the military as well. But I think there's a special aura around Idaho's resource.
Hello, sir. Greg Wooten is Fish and Game's Chief of Enforcement, but he also serves with the United States Army Reserve. He missed Idaho during the 18 months he was mobilized at Fort Bliss in Texas, and again when he served a year-long tour of Afghanistan in 2012.
Because you go to other parts of the country and they're always talking about the Rocky Mountains, and they're talking about Idaho and all the resources that we have out here. And so to me, this is the best job in the world, is to protect Idaho's resource. So, looking at our mission, preserve and protect, perpetuate, we are the protectors. So Idaho conservation officers, there's probably not one of them out there that wouldn't tell you that that's what we do. We're the protectors of the wildlife.
Dave Canamella began as a fisheries research biologist, but at mid-career he took his passion and high-octane energy in another direction.
Yeah.
Now his time is spent introducing others to the joy and wonder of our wildlife world at Fish and Game's MK Nature Center.
The water boatmen come to the top and they grab air under their armpits.
And we think that everyone has something in nature they relate to. So when kids come to the Nature Center, we don't know if they're fish people, bird people, insect people, flower people.
You want to touch them? No! You want to reach in there and touch them? Pet them real soft like.
But everyone has, some love of nature somewhere. So, a lot of our effort is put into connecting people with nature in the hope that that connection will serve as some stewardship action. You know, we've kind of adopted the statement by Aristotle, in all things of nature there's something of the marvelous. And so, you know, as I said, you know, the fish for me as a kid, they became the marvelous. But the more you look around, any plant, any bird, any animal is just ridiculously marvelous. We don't want to see things go away.
I labor for wildlife because it's connected to us. A lot of times we try to think of us in one place and wildlife in another, but really we all share the same space, and it's important that we understand that so that we can not just help wildlife but help ourselves.
Conservation educator Greg Lazinski recently received a grant to take his passion for the planet to the country of Slovakia, where they were having problems with brown bears getting into their old model communist-era trash dumpsters. And so, with the help of organizations like the International Association for Bear Management and Research and other agencies at various levels, a modification was designed to keep bears out.
It was a neat experience to see just how being an ambassador for our way of managing wildlife was so well accepted elsewhere in the world.
The one commonality we all have is that we love wildlife. It doesn't matter what the language is or the history of the area, but people love the wildlife that's there and they don't want to see it lost.
Even the newest employees feel the call to serve the mission.
Idaho Fish Game.
Caitlin Bennett comes from a family with a strong hunting heritage that emphasized the importance of practicing good ethics when in the field. She has worked as a customer service representative for just under a year at Fish and Game's headquarters office in Boise.
And I love answering their questions because I know that I'm helping them know what's legal and right and what they need to do, and that they're going to go out and they're going to practice that in the field. So I get to help contribute to the conservation part of Idaho's wildlife as well.
But in the end, it's about all of us as people and our connection to Idaho's wildlife heritage.
The policies, the people, and the resources that this state have are unmatched. I started off as a game warden and learned that it wasn't just about wildlife, but it was about the people. And the recreation value that wildlife has in this state, and the people that really, are out recreating, looking for wildlife, hunting, fishing, sportsmen and women in the state that really make it.
It is not just game animals and game fish that Idaho Fish and Game is charged with managing. The law passed in 1938 that created the Fish and Game Commission states that Fish and Game manage all wildlife.
I think interacting with people and showing them some of the great assets we have in our state, between the birds and the big game and flowers and everything else in between. We have some really wonderful places to go out and recreate. It's important. Instill that, the upcoming generation with wildlife ethics and just getting outside and seeing what Idaho is all about.
And may that passion and commitment continue for another 75 years as the men and women of Idaho Fish and Game labor to preserve, protect, perpetuate, and manage Idaho's wildlife resources for the citizens of Idaho.
It's a fun job. I get told all the time that you have the best job in the world, and there's really a lot of days that I think they're right. And when I was in high school, one of my mentors told me that any job that works towards benefiting society as a whole is an honorable job, and I see that in Fish and Game. I think what we do really benefits everybody in Idaho, and that's one of the things that I really enjoy about this job.